So hello everyone, welcome to another video on object-oriented programming with C++. In this video we are going to talk mainly about friendship. So a friend is one who walks in when the rest of the world walks out. Now me and my friends, when we write a C++ program, we start by including IOStream. So that's what we do. Alright, then the next thing that we do is we write using namespace std, and that is how we bring the namespace std into our local scope. Now C++ being an object-oriented programming language, what we like to do is we like to create classes with which we will later on be creating objects. So let us go ahead and create a class, and I am going to call it the complex class. Alright, and this is going to have private data attributes, two of them. One is going to be the real component of the complex number, the other is going to be the imaginary component. So let me give a full name, real and imaginary. Alright, then I am going to have a public method, and this is going to be void init, so that I will be able to initialize this complex number, and this is going to take two parameters, one int r and the other is int I, and it will assign real to r and image to I. Alright, so this is the kind of class that me and my friend we like to make. Then I will have a main function, and I'm going to create a complex object called C, and then I'm going to initialize this complex object with the real part being 4 and the imaginary part being 5, and then I am going to return from this complex this main function. I have to return with an integer. When I return with a 0 from main, it means my program has exited successfully, and so that is what I have done. Alright, so let's go ahead and compile this program. So yeah, I am going ahead and compiling this program, and I have compiled it successfully, I hope. What is the problem here? Okay. Okay, going ahead and compiling this program. Yes, I have compiled it successfully. Alright, so this is what I have. Now this class, this complex class that my friend gave me, he told me that do not add any new method, don't create a new method inside this class. Alright, but I need a method. I need a method to print out this complex number, right? So I have created a complex number. I want to print it to my output, but I don't have such a method. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a print method outside the class. He told me don't create a method inside the class. Alright, so I'm going to create a method outside the class, and in this method I'm going to take as a parameter, I'm going to take a complex number as parameter. I'm going to call it x. Say x is the complex number that will be passed to me. So I'm going to print x.real, okay, followed by a addition sign, and then I'm going to print x.imaginary, and finally I have to print a I to indicate that is the imaginary part, and then end line. Alright, so this is the function that I'm going to make, and I hope to call this print function. So let's go ahead and call this print function, and I'm going to pass this C as a parameter. Alright, so I have done that. Now let me go ahead and try to compile this program, and once I try to compile this program, I get the errors. I get two errors. Okay, the first error says that I cannot access complex real because that is private, and I cannot access complex imaginary because that is private. So that makes sense, right? We know this already, that in this complex class, these two data attribute, real and imaginary, both of them are private. So I cannot access this private data attribute or private method, private properties of a class outside the class. This print method is definitely outside the class, right? So yeah, I will not be able to access them in print method. That makes sense, right? We talked about this in details in our previous video. We should not be able to access real and imaginary inside print. So what do we do? Now, like my friends who made this class, he's a friend of mine. Now this person knows all of my secrets, right? This person knows all my private matters. In the same way, this print function should be a friend of this complex class. If print becomes a friend of the complex class, then print will be able to access all these private matters, all these secrets of complex class. So let me go ahead and make print a friend of this class, and that is a very simple thing to do. We already know how to make a function a friend of a class, right? So what do? We write the prototype of the function. So this function is void print, and it takes a complex reference, fine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the keyword friend at the front, right? So once I do this, once I make the print function a friend of my complex class, all right, then let's see what happens. Okay, I am compiling, I'm executing, and yes, this is good. My friend function, my print function is called, and it prints this complex number 4 plus 5i. Okay, so that is good. Okay, fine. So inside this print function, now I am able to access real and imaginary. Real and imaginary, both of them are private data attribute of this complex class, and inside this print function I am able to access this private data attributes of the complex class. What does that mean? That means that my friend function can access the private and protected members of complex. Let me show it with protected. Let us say this is protected. Okay, and let us say I did not make print the friend of complex. Okay, so I commented out this line number 11, where I made print the friend of complex. I commented that out. So print is no longer a friend of complex. Now real and imaginary are protected instead of private. Let me go ahead and try to compile this. I'm trying to compile and I'm getting the same error. Okay, that I cannot access it. Imaginary and real, both of them are protected, so I cannot access them. Now if I make this print a friend of complex and I try to compile it, now I will be able to access it, right? Okay, I'm able to access print and real, both of them were protected. So let me convert it back to private. Okay, let me make them private. I'm not going to write the private keyword. So if I don't write the private keyword, by default in real and imaginary, both of them are going to be private. So by default everything is private, right? So real and imaginary are private. I don't need to explicitly write private in front of real and imaginary. Okay, so this is friend function. Okay, print is a friend of complex, and therefore print can access all these secrets, all these private and protected data attribute and methods that are there in complex. Okay, in this complex class. Fine. Now X is the object of the complex class, and therefore I can access this real and imaginary, which are private data attribute of complex. Okay, fine. We have done all these things in our previous classes, right? Up to this point there should not be any confusion. Fine. Now let me go ahead and do one thing. Let me create a function, and this is going to be a void add. Okay, function that is going to take a complex number, say x, let me call it x, and then what I'm going to do is I am going to add to r the previous value of r plus the real component of x. So previous real component, okay, sorry, it's not r, it's real. Okay, so the real value of this object is going to be the real value of x plus the real value of the object itself, right? In the same way, the imaginary is going to be the previous imaginary plus the imaginary of this object that I am passing to this function. Alright, so this is what I have. Now let me do one thing. Let me create another complex number in main. So I'm going to call it D, and I'm going to initialize D to 5 and 6. So it is 5 plus 6i, and then what, this is D, this should not be C. Okay, I have initialized D to 5 plus 6i. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add C add D. Okay, so I am going to add to C. I'm going to call this C object has this method called add. I'm going to call that method, okay, and I'm going to pass this D object as parameter. So what is going to happen, this C objects real and imaginary are going to be updated. D objects real and imaginary are not going to be touched. D will just be passed as a parameter. Alright, so this is what we do. I call this add method, and then I'm going to print C. Okay, and I'm going to use this print function. This is not a problem. I'm going to go ahead and compile and run this program, and that is done. Okay, so 5 plus 4 gives me 9, and 6 plus 5 gives me 11. So the added complex number that I get is 9 plus 11i. Okay, fine. Now we already talked about one more feature of complex number. So I hope you understand what is happening up to this point. I hope you understand how line number 26 works. Okay, I have two objects of the same class. I have C and I have D. C is a complex number 4 plus 5i, D is a complex number 5 plus 6i, and I am calling the add method through C. So I hope you understand this part. Okay, this C objects add method is being called, and D is being passed as parameter to that method. Okay, now inside the add function, who is calling the add function? C is calling the add function. So the real is updated to real plus the passed parameter. What is the pass parameter? This D object, right? D that we created in line number 23. So C is calling the function, therefore C's real will be updated to C's real plus D's real. Okay, now D is not touched. D's real is just read, and C's real is added to this real, and then C's real is updated. Alright, I hope you understand this part. I hope this makes sense. Okay. D is not going to change, C is going to change. Why? Because C's method is being called. C is calling this method, and it is just taking D as parameter, and it is updating C's value. Okay, that is what is happening inside this function. Alright. Okay, fine. Now let us look at one more feature of C++ that we already studied. Instead of having this add method, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do operator overloading. Instead of writing this thing C add D, I want to do this. I want to write C plus D, and that should update my value of C. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to write operator plus. Okay, and that would be doing operator overloading. Now what operator plus this does is this line gets converted into C equal to C dot operator plus, and I'm passing D. Okay, so like before what I was doing C add D. Now C was the caller function and D was the passed parameter. Even now, when I write C plus D, C is the first parameter, D is the second parameter. So the first parameter would be the caller function. Okay, So C dot operator add is going to be called, and then this second object, right, that is going to be passed as parameter. So C object is going to call the method. Okay, the object to the left of plus is the one that is going to call. Okay, so in essence I have this method operator plus, and this is what is going to happen. C dot operator plus is going to be called, and what am I going to pass? I am going to pass D. So over here in this parameter D is going to come. Alright, and then who is going to call this function? C is going to call. And then what is going to happen here? The value of C's real would be updated to C's real plus this real. C's imaginary will be updated to C's imaginary plus this imaginary. Okay. The exact same thing that was happening before when I wrote C dot add and I pass D as parameter is happening over here. Okay. Now let's go ahead and compile and run this program. And yeah, it is running as expected. Okay. Now I want to make one more minor change over here. What I want to do is I don't want to update C. Okay. So when I am adding C plus D, my C is being updated. Okay. But instead what I want to do is I want to create and return a new complex number that will have the sum of these two complex number. So right now what is happening? I am calling this operator. I have done this operator overloading. So when I write say C plus D, two objects of this class complex. So C is calling the operator method. Okay, the method that is associated with this operator overloading. So C is calling this method, and then inside this method I am taking D as parameter and I am adding C and D and I am updating C, right? So C is being changed. I don't want to do that. In normal C program, what happens? If I have say int x equal to 4 and int y equal to 5, when I add x plus y, this operation does not update x. Right? X stays as it is. Instead, this is going to return one more integer z. Okay. So this is what I want to do. What I want to do is this. I write complex C equal to something, complex D equal to something. When I add these two, I need a complex number to be returned. Okay. I don't want this C to be updated. I don't want that. I instead want a complex number to be returned. In fact, what does that mean? I want this method, this operator overloading method, to return a complex number. Right now it is returning void, nothing. So I want it to return a complex number. Let's change that first. Okay, I will now be returning a complex number. Okay. Now, what is the complex number that I will return? Let me create a complex number. I am going to call it temp. And let me initialize temp. No need to initialize temp. Okay. I am going to set temp.real to the current objects real plus x, this parameters real, and temp.imaginary to current objects imaginary plus the parameters imaginary. Alright. So I was previously updating the current object, the calling object's value. Now I am not updating the calling object's value. Instead, what am I doing? I am creating a new object and I am updating the real and imaginary of that object, not the current object. Who is going to call? When I write this line C plus D, who is going to call this method? This operator addition. I have overloaded the addition operator, right? Who is going to call the addition operator? C is going to call this operator, right? What is going to be passed as parameter to this method that overloads the operator? D is going to be passed. Previously, what was I doing? Inside this method, I was updating C. I was adding this number, adding the real of the caller and the real of the parameter. I was adding them together and updating the caller. same thing I was doing with imaginary. The colors imaginary was updated to colors imaginary plus the past parameters imaginary. Right now I am not updating the colors real and imaginary. Right here what I have done, I have created one more object inside here, and that object that I have created inside this function, I am updating the real and temp of real and imaginary of that object. Right, so I am not touching the real and imaginary, I am not updating the real and imaginary. I am reading of course, but not updating, not writing to the real and imaginary of the color. Okay, who is the color? C is the color. In line number 28, C is the color. Okay, now I have created the object, I have updated the values, and now I am going to return that object that I have created. So I am returning a temp. Alright, so I was printing C, so let me go ahead and print C once. Previously when I did not edit this line, I was printing C. Previously when I printed C at this point, what was happening? My C's value was updated from 4 plus 5i. This 5 plus 6i was added to this 4 plus 5i, and then it was updated to 9 plus 11i. So when I printed C, I got 9 plus 11i. Let's see what happens now. Let me go ahead and compile and run, and I see that the value is not updated. Okay, that's good, as we wanted. Let me go ahead and print Z. Now when I print Z, okay, now the value is updated. This is very good. Okay, fine. Now this operator overloading, this method that overloads the operator addition, okay, is returning a complex number that is the sum of the caller object plus the parameter. Okay, so in this situation, in this scenario, the object, there are two objects C and D, both of them are objects of class complex. And this is of course we are working with class complex. Okay, so the left, we have this addition sign that was overloaded. The object to the left of C is the one that is the caller. It calls the operator plus method, the method that overloads the operator addition, and the object that is on the right of this plus, that is the one that is passed as parameter. Okay, C is the one that calls the method, D is the one that is passed as parameter. The two of them are added, and a object is written. We assign Z to that object. Okay, so that is what we do. Now I don't want this operator overloading object to be inside my class. Okay, do you remember my friend? He gave me the class, he told me not to create methods inside the class. This is a method that overloads the operator. This is a method nevertheless, but then he told me not to add any method inside this class. Right, he is a friend of mine, I should honor his request. So what do? I am going to bring it outside. Okay, so I am bringing it outside, and I am going to make it a friend. Sorry, return is complex, and operator plus, it is taking a complex number as parameter. Is this enough? Let me go ahead and try to compile this, and then there will be error, and we will talk about the error. Okay, see what is happening. This operator right now, this operator plus, this method is outside my class. Therefore this real and imaginary are no longer variable attributes that it knows. Okay, when I had this operator function inside the class, it knew this real and imaginary, this private member of the complex class. So when operator plus this method was inside this complex class, it knew what real and imaginary meant. Those were inside this class. Alright, now it is outside the class. It no longer knows what this real and imaginary means. Okay, that is problem 1. Problem 2 is this. Previously, when I wrote C plus D, okay, C was the caller, D is the one that was passed as parameter. Now who is the caller? This plus is not this operator that was overloaded. This overloading is not inside C. Okay, so C is not the caller anymore. Okay, so previously what happened? When I wrote C plus D, it was essentially this C dot, I had this method operator plus in C, and D was passed to that method, right? This is what was happening. Right now, this operator plus method, okay, this method is over here. This operator plus method is over here. This operator plus method will override this plus symbol, okay, plus operator. Now it is not there inside my class. It is a friend of the class but not there inside my class. So C dot operator plus does not make any sense. This operator plus method is not inside C. Instead, now what is going to happen is I have to call operator plus. Okay, like in this line, in this line number 30, I am calling print. In the same way, I have to call operator plus. But operator plus cannot now take only one parameter. Okay, now where is C? If I remove C, C dot operator plus is something that we were doing. Now C dot operator plus means what? That operator plus is a method that is inside C. Now operator plus is no longer inside C, so it is outside C. Now I have to add, right, C and D. So D is getting passed, that is fine. It was getting passed before. Now I have to manually pass C. So I have to now take two parameters. Okay, and I am going to take two parameters over here, complex X, and the second parameter, let me call it complex Y. Okay, so I am going to write x dot real over here and x dot imaginary instead of writing real and imaginary. So now I am passing two parameter. Okay, so when I write C plus D, this operator plus is being called with the first parameter being the object that is on the left of the plus operator. What is on the left of plus? C is on the left. The second parameter is going to be what is on the right of this plus operator. D is on the right. So now I am calling this method operator plus. Okay, previously I was calling this method C dot operator plus because operator plus was inside the C object. C is an object of complex class. We had written previously we had written operator plus method inside this complex class. Now when I say operator plus method, you should understand that operator plus method is the method that is going to override our plus operator. So we are doing operator overloading. Okay, overload our plus operator. So that is what was happening. Now what is happening? We have this operator plus method outside the class, outside the complex class. Therefore it is not there inside the object of the complex class. C is the object of the complex class. I cannot have that. So I just simply call this operator plus method without referencing it through some object. Okay, so this is what I am doing. I am simply calling this operator plus, and then what are the two parameters? The first parameter is the object that appears to the left of it. The second parameter is the object that appears to the right of it. So I am passing two objects of type. What is the type of C and D? The type of C and D is complex. Yeah, that is fine. I am receiving two complex numbers, these complex objects as parameter in operator plus, right? So this is what it is. Fine, let me go ahead and compile this. And what is happening? For some reason I am not getting the sum that I should be getting. Okay, I am writing x plus x real, so it should be, I am passing two objects, one is complex x and complex y. So this object that I am creating should be the real of this, the real component of temp should be x dot real plus y dot real, not x dot real. And imaginary of temp should be x dot imaginary plus y dot imaginary. Alright, so that was a logical error, semantic error. Let me go ahead and compile again, and now everything is correct. Okay, now I am getting the correct output, and I hope you understood what is happening. This operator overloading that we were doing inside the class is now being done by a method which is outside the class. And since this is outside the class, okay, there are a few things that we should take care of. Problem is, if this is simply a method outside the class and I want to access this real and imaginary inside this operator plus method, then what would happen is I will not be able to do that. Why will I not be able to do that? Because real and imaginary, both of them are private in this complex class. Now I have to access real and imaginary inside this function. Okay, that is because my logic of my program requires me to do that. Okay, so I have to access real and imaginary inside this function, and that is the reason I make this operator plus a friend of this complex class. Alright, so this is what I do. Alright, I hope this makes sense. I want you to experiment a bit on your own with these things, and that would really help you understand these concepts really well. Alright, fine. Now the next thing that I want to do, this is a binary operation, right? I am working with two different objects, so I am adding addition. Okay, so addition is a binary operation, right? I add two numbers here, right here, right now in this example I am adding to complex number, right? So what about unary operation? Say I have an integer, okay, x equal to 5. Okay, then what I do is I have another integer, say y, and that is equal to minus x, and then I am going to print y. So let's go ahead and compile and run this. Okay, I remove C. So let me comment this out right now. Okay, so I had 5. I wrote a minus operator in front of this variable 5, and that does what? That makes this 5 into minus 5, converts this 5 into minus 5. Okay, so this is a unary operator. Contrast this to this C plus D that we were doing in line number 30. Okay, this is a binary because we are working with two objects, C and D. It adds C and D and returns something. This here is a unary operator. Okay, a unary operator is one that works with only one object, right? So here I am working with only one integer. There is no z minus x or something like that. Okay, this is not subtraction. This is just changing the sign of the number. All right. So that is something that I want to do. D is my complex number. Okay, and I want to write minus d, okay, and that should give me the negation of this complex number. So if I have 4 plus 5i, the negation minus, if d is equal to 4 plus 5i, then minus d should be minus 4 minus 5i. Okay, so let's go and do that. What are we going to do? We are going to create a unary operator overloading. We are going to overload this operator, but now we are going to do unary operator overloading. Okay, so operator, what is the operator that we are going to overload? It is minus. How many parameters are we going to take? We are working with only one object, and that is the parameter, only one parameter. All right. So it is going to return a complex. So let me go ahead and try to implement this operator minus. It is going to take a complex number as parameter. I'm going to call that x. Okay, now inside here I'm going to create a complex number. All right, now this complex number called tam, its real is going to be minus of x dot real. X is the parameter that I'm going to pass. I'm going to take the minus of that, and then temp dot imaginary is equal to minus x dot imaginary. All right, and then I return temp. Okay, now what is happening over here? Here I am calling this operator minus with only one parameter d. Okay, I am not taking two parameters like I was doing before. Now I am taking only one parameter, and this operator minus this method. What is the purpose that I write this method? This method is going to overload the minus operator. Okay, so that is the operator overloading that I am going to do. It is going to take one parameter d, and that is what the prototype says over here. It is going to take one parameter. I have made it a friend of the complex class. Why should it be a friend of the complex class? Because I am accessing real and imaginary, these two data attributes of the complex class inside this method, right? So that is what I have. Okay. Alright, so this real and imaginary which are private, I am trying to access inside this method, therefore it should make, I should make it a friend. Okay, so I have done everything correctly if I am not wrong, and I am going to compile and run this program. And yeah, this program runs correctly. I am getting 5 plus minus 6i. Okay, so my number is 5 plus 6i, that is the complex number that I had. Right now I have written minus d. D is equal to 5 plus 6i. So minus d is equal to minus 5 plus minus 6i. Okay, this does not look good, plus and minus. Okay, together it does not look good. So I am going to do a little bit of condition checking over here. If x dot imaginary is less than 0, then there is no need to print this plus. Okay, else the thing that was happening before, I have to print a plus. So let me go ahead and compile and run. And yeah, now I am not writing plus minus, so it's minus 5 minus 6i, and if I print d, I should get 5 plus 6i. So d is equal to 5 plus 6i. when I write a minus in front of d, that is going to, this method is going to be called operator minus with this parameter d. Okay, and in this operator minus I am going to create a new object temp, and the real of temp is going to be the d's real, which is 5. So minus of 5, so temp's real is going to be minus 5. In the same way, temp's imaginary is going to be this is 6, this imaginary is 6, so temp's imaginary is going to be minus 6. Alright, so yeah, this is what I have. In this way, after doing this setting, I'm going to return this temp, and when I return this temp after doing this operation, this temp that was returned is going to be assigned to this z. Okay, fine. So these are all the things that we have. Okay, now you have seen up to this point, you have seen what is a friend function, you have seen how to do a binary operator overloading, you have seen how to do unary operator overloading, and we have done both of them. Let me remove this condition check. Let me keep it simple, although in a real program, in the real world, you will be writing maybe more complicated function, but right now I am just demonstrating features of C++, right? So writing application logic will depend on the application, and that is for you to figure out when you write your applications. Okay, we are done. Let me remove everything, this operator overloading. Okay, and this print function also, let me remove this, let me remove this print function, let me remove, and we are back to this. Okay, so this is my complex class, very simple complex class. There is no print function right now. I can create an object of the complex class. Let me go ahead and compile and run this. Okay, this runs successfully, so there is no error, that is good. Now I am going to create one more class, and this class is printer. Okay, and this class is going to have 3 methods. One is void print, and that is going to take a complex number like before, and like before it is going to print the real of the complex number, the real component of the complex number, followed by a addition sign, and then the imaginary component of the complex number, followed by this I, and then a new line. Okay, very simple to understand. Then I have, say, okay, let's say I have this. Okay, nothing else. Now see, what is it that I am doing? What is the difference between now and what I was doing previously? I had the same print function previously. There was no difference at all in this method. Okay, but then now this method is inside a class. Previously the method was global, it was outside any class, it was there globally. Now this method is inside a class. Okay, of course I need a semicolon over here since it's a class. Okay, now what to do? I have to make this method a friend of the class. Why do I need to make the friend of the class? Because if I try to compile it right now, I will see that real and imaginary are private, and I cannot access real and imaginary over here. Okay, these are private data attributes of the complex class, and therefore I cannot access this real and imaginary in this print method which is inside this printer class. I cannot do that. So I have to make in order to access this private data attributes, alright, I have to make this method print a friend of this class. So let's go ahead and do that. So print, and that is going to take a complex number reference. Fine. Let me go ahead and compile. Okay, we still have the same problem. The problem is that right now my function is thinking that the print is global. Okay, so if the print function was over here, so in this way, this would have been fine. This would have been a friend of complex, but my print function is not here, right? My print function is inside this class. Now I have to make this print function a friend of complex. So what do? I write the name of the class. Printer is the name of the class. All right, fine. Now print should be a friend. Okay, let me go ahead and compile. Okay, it is still not done. So what is the problem right now? Let me go ahead and see. Okay, it says error in line number 10. It says printer has not been declared. Okay, I am trying to say that print function of printer is my friend, but up to this point in this line I am trying to do that, right? But what does it say? That in line number 10 it says printer is not declared. Okay, so fine, as I come from above, in this point in line number 10, by the time I reach line number 10, when coming from top down, from above, I do not see printer. Printer is there in line number 12. Okay, so that's a problem. Printer is not known to my class. So what do? I create this class printer. So let me just copy. Okay, printer is not known in line number 10, so let me write printer before. Okay, it was after, so right now I am writing before. So let me go ahead and compile. Okay, still I have error. So what is the error? Okay, now it says complex is not defined. Okay, now I am trying to access complex in line number 5. Okay, in line number 5, and it says complex is now not defined. Complex is in line number 9. Okay, now we are in a cycle. What to do? Which one to declare first? Printer uses complex, complex uses printer. The one that I used before, say I am writing printer before, so printer should know about complex. All right, beforehand, before using it. And if I use complex before, then complex should know about printer before using it. So what to do? Okay, here is something that I am going to do. I am going to write the prototype. That class complex is going to be there. Okay, that class complex, I am not writing the definition, anything of class complex right now. I will write that later, but I will write it. Okay, so I am informing my compiler that there is going to be eventually a class called complex. So when you see complex, don't say that complex does not exist. It does not exist right now, that's fine, but it is going to exist at a later point of time. Okay, in line number 10. So you will see complex in line number 6. When you see complex in line number 6, don't worry. Complex will, when you reach line number 10, you are going to find complex. Fine, that is what I am saying in line number 3 to the compiler. Let me go ahead and try to compile. Okay, I still have error. What is the error right now? Okay, so right now the problem is that I know there is going to be a class called complex, but the fact that there is something called real and imaginary in this class, that is not known to my uh, so there is lots of noise outside. Let me just pause the video for a few seconds and then we will be back again. Okay, sorry for the interruption. uh, yeah, what were we at? Yes. uh, yeah, at this point in this method, uh, this method knows that a class called complex is there, so there we had the underline over here, that is now no longer there. But then it does not know that there is this class has something called real and this class has something called imaginary. Okay, so that is still not known to the compiler when it reaches line number 7. Okay, so what do? We do a very simple thing. In fact, we are not going to implement the method over here. Okay, we just declare that the method is going to be there, and then this real and imaginary we are declaring over here, and after that is done, we are going to go ahead and implement this method. So void printer print. So here is the implementation. We notice already that we can implement methods. We can declare method inside our class, we can define them outside our class, we can implement them outside our class, and that is what we are doing. We are declaring that there is going to be a print method in printer, and that is going to take a complex object, a object of class complex as parameter. What is a object of class parameter? We said that already, that there is going to be a class called complex, and this parameter, this object is going to be a object of this class. So we know this class is going to exist. Okay, then what do? We create this class. Okay, now inside this class all these attributes that we are going to use, real and imaginary, are created. Everything is done. Now we are at this point, okay, where we have actually implemented this method. This method is complex, this method is print, and we have implemented print over here. Okay, fine. Now let me go ahead and try to compile this. Okay, it compiles perfectly, that is good. Now let me create a object of class printer. Okay, so printer p, and then I'm going to call p.print with this object of type complex called d that I had created before. So I'm passing d as parameter, and let me compile and run this program. Okay, and this print method is now able to print this complex numbers 5 plus 6i as it is supposed to do. Okay, so this is good, everything is good, working as expected. Now say this print method, okay, has more methods. Okay, so I have a method called print real, I have another method called print imaginary. Okay, all of them are taking this complex number. So what do I have to do? I have to make print real a friend, I have to make print imaginary a friend. Okay, and I have to of course implement this method, all these methods. So there is going to be print real, there is going to be print imaginary, and in print real I am going to print only the real component of the complex number. Sorry, that is not print real, this is print real. In print real I am going to print the real component of the imaginary number, yeah, and in print imaginary I am going to print just the imaginary component of the imaginary number. Alright, so these are the three methods that I have, and let me call all of them one by one. So first I call print, then I call print real with the same object as parameter, then I call print imaginary with the same object as parameter. Okay, let me go ahead and compile, run this program, and I should see 3 lines of output. First line will give me print the entire number. This is the output of the print method. Second line is printing just the real component. Third line is printing just the imaginary component. Alright, this should be familiar to you. You should understand this at this point. We have not done anything new. We have just previously I had one friend function. Now I have three different friend functions. Alright, fine. Now this is the thing. I can have, say there are 10 different function in printer. Okay, so say there are 10 different functions in printer that I want this function, these methods to be friend with complex. Okay, so if I keep doing this, if I keep on writing friend and then function name over and over again, like I have done here, line number 17 to 19, then what is going to happen? My readability of the code is going to decrease. For every method I have to declare that method as friend. Okay, I have to do that over and over again. So this is cumbersome. This is not a very good idea. What should I instead do? I should make this entire class a friend of this complex. Okay, so that is what I am going to do. So instead of making this methods my friend one by one, I am going to make this entire class a friend of this complex class. This entire printer class is now going to be a friend of the complex class. Alright, so that is what I have done. And let me go ahead, compile and run this. And fine, everything is working properly. So this entire class is now a friend, this entire printer class is now a friend of the complex class, and these are methods of printer class, these three, line number 19 to 27. And in this method I am able to, as you can see, I am able to access this real and imaginary, which are private data attribute of complex class. Okay, now most of the things we have done with private, but then had it been protected as well, then we would still be able to access this protected data attribute inside our friend function and friend class. Okay, so this is what it is. So in this video I am going to end this right now. I hope you understood everything in this video very properly. Okay, now of course after 2 more videos I will be back with a theory video in which we will deal with this using pen and paper in details, but I don't think today's content is so complex that we would need something like that. I hope this itself is sufficient, and I hope you have got a very good idea of what is happening with friend function and friend class. So today in this video we have seen at the very beginning what is the friend function. So we had seen that before. Then we had seen friend operator overloading of operator with a friend function. So 2 things we have seen in that. We have seen operator overloading of a binary operator, and we have seen operator overloading of a unary operator. Alright, then we saw how to make the method of a class the friend of another class. Right, so that is what we had done before when we had only one method, this print method in our printer class. Then we saw how to make an entire class a friend of another class. So this is the last thing that we have done. Right, so these are all the contents for this video. I hope you understood everything. If not, you can of course reach out to me on WhatsApp, on mail, or by writing your doubts in the comment section below. So thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next video.